So imagine this, a barn, dusty, remote, out in the middle of nowhere. Inside, enough 90s toy nostalgia to bring a grown man to tears, and possibly his knees when he realises he can't tell anybody about it. Sound far-fetched? Well, strap in, because this story is about the biggest toy find in the UK in recent history. But we're not allowed to talk about it. But we're going to, kind of. So our tale begins in one of Britain's great cultural institutions, the humble car boot sale. If you're unfamiliar, think of it as a treasure hunt for those with an eye for bargains and a tolerance for wet grass at 6 AM. It's a bit like an American's flea market, but we just call them boot sales, boots fairs, things like that. One fine morning, a collector, let's call him Mr. Model Car Enthusiast for legal reasons, was poking around, minding his own business, looking for, you guessed it, model cars. Now this chap is pretty well known among other car boot sale regulars, so when an older gentleman approached him and said, "I've got a load of model cars in a barn if you're interested," and he figured, why not? What he didn't realise was he was about to walk straight into what might be the biggest UK toy find in recent memory. The stuff of dreams. Or if you're a toy dealer trying to keep the prices sky high, the stuff of absolute nightmares. But here's the kicker, when he first stepped inside the barn, he completely missed it. Yep, he walked straight past the goldmine without even flinching. He didn't like toys, he only liked model cars, so it wasn't something he was looking for. You see, the barn wasn't just filled with the model cars. Oh no, tucked away almost like a scene from a collector's fever dream was unopened shipping boxes from the 80s and 90s. Action figures, vehicles, playsets, merchandise, you name it, brands like Teenage Mutant Hero Turtles complete with retro Mutant, Ooze bots and footski vehicles, Ghostbusters firehouses sealed, Ghostbuster board games, Simpsons costumes, Batman, and even little lines like boxed Ring Raiders. And remember, it's Hero Turtles, not Ninja Turtles. We're talking about the UK here, and some of it is rarer and more collectible. It was all down there, mint condition, factory sealed. Treasures from a now closed toy shop that had apparently been squirreled away in this barn for decades. But it wasn't just a few boxes. You're talking an entire shop's worth, including approximately 200 carded figures of the four turtles: Leonardo, Donatello, Michelangelo and Raphael, Toxic Crusaders, Karate Kid, and so many more brands. Our model car enthusiast, he just missed it. He strolled past it like it was nothing. All he noticed was the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles logo on one of the shippers, which made him think, hang on, these are worth something. Fortunately, the bar owner saw his potential and said, "Do you fancy taking some of it off my hands?" And that, my friend, is where Mr. Car Model Enthusiast's life changed forever. The barn owner's wife, let's call her the CFO of this operation, decided on a straightforward pricing model. If the item still had an original price sticker from the 90s, that's what it sold for. No sticker? No problem. She just had to name a price on the spot. Fair, simple, maybe a little terrifying if you're walking out with a wheelbarrow full of mint condition turtles and Toxic Crusaders, even some carded M.A.S.K figures. Of course, let me just assure you that all taxes and legal requirements were actually followed to the letter during this whole operation. But there was a catch, a deal, and not a kind of handshake agreement that you would expect. You see, the fella was only allowed to take one wheelbarrow's worth of toys at a time. That was the rule. Load it up, roll it out, and you can come back for more. No exceptions. Now at this point you might be asking, why didn't he just hire a lorry and clear out the place? Fair question. That rule was the rule. The barn owner wasn't having any of it, whether it was a test of trust or an attempt to control the flow of goods, or just some good old-fashioned eccentricity, we'll never know. What we do know is that it worked. Week after week, our man returned with his wheelbarrow in hand, carting away some of the rarest toys of the 90s. But there is more. Turns out there wasn't just a barn. Somewhere inside this treasure trove of a barn was an entire lorry packed to the brim of toys. Why, you ask? How the story went was when the toy shop originally shut down in the 90s, they cleared the shelves overnight, stored everything in the barn, and I mean everything. They left the shop floor spotless, ready for closure, and stuffed the stock into this hidden time capsule. And now our man has barely scratched the surface. He's been through most of the lorry and he's moving on to a second storage area. I mean, second, at this point, it's not even a barn, it's a warehouse of dreams. Now here's the fun part. Where did all the toys end up? Well, the main hall was divided between a few toy dealers, including myself, with one lucky soul claiming the lion's share. The rest, it was scattered across fairs and shows across the country. If you were sharp-eyed enough to know what you were looking at, you'd have spotted them on people's stalls, a secret shared in plain sight. The action figures themselves, well, those have pretty much dried up by now, but here's the thing, there's still a treasure trove of merchandise left inside that barn. Stuff that could make any collector's heart race. Take the Teenage Mutant Hero Turtles Ooze for example. Yes, the original green and purple goop sealed in cases complete with an original store display. One box recently sold for around £6,000 and there's still a few cases left, just waiting to hit the market. When? We're just gonna have to wait and see. And it wasn't just the Turtles, there was Toxic Crusader figures, box dukes of Hazard model kits and cars. There was even some rare WCW LCD games. Oh, and let's not forget the Pokémon cards. One box of original Jungle set cards was found and it sold for an undisclosed amount. And when I say undisclosed, you know that it's gonna be a lot. And then there's this personal one for me, a M.A.S.K Jacques Lafleur glider on card and pristine. It was a toy I adored as a kid and when I spotted it in this haul, I nearly had it in my hands. But another dealer got it before I could, leaving me heartbroken. A cruel twist of fate, but that's collecting for you. Now, here's where things get interesting. Despite being an absolute collector's dream, you won't find anyone shouting it from the rooftops. But why is it not spoke about? Maybe it was the dealers who got their hands on the treasure trove in an effort to avoid flooding the market, kept it quiet. Imagine the chaos, values plummeting, collectors panicking, eBay explodes, and somewhere a grown man crying into his shelf of boxed action figures. Nobody wants that. At first, our collector tried to sell online. He posted a few items, but the sheer flood of inquiries on his groups and comments quickly overwhelmed him. After a few, let's say, less than pleasant experiences, he decided to shut down that route. Instead, he reached out to a few local toy dealers and he wanted to be discreet. It was a smart move because we know the value, we know what we can sell it for, we know what we can pay. And also selling to people who know what they're talking about, it's more satisfying. Now, before we continue, let me just say, if I suddenly go missing or this channel mysteriously shuts down, you're gonna know why. Turns out some of the folks involved in this story and some others in the collecting community are quite keen on keeping it under wraps. And even though I've changed names, locations, and the odd detail, maybe check on me later, yeah? Just see if I'm all right. Let me just say this happened a good 3 to 4 years ago, so by now the toys are moved into collections and we can shout about it. So there you have it, the biggest private toy find in the UK in recent years. A tale of secrecy, nostalgia, and enough rare collectibles to make any 90s kid weep with joy. And while most of these treasures are already tucked away in private collections, proudly displayed in toy shops, I know the bits I had are all gone. Their story is what truly makes them priceless. You probably even have some and you don't even realise. A barn, a wheelbarrow, and a moment of pure unadulterated luck, that's the stuff of dreams. So if you're at a toy fair or a toy shop and you spot a mint condition Karate Kid or a boxed foot ski or even a slapstick giant turtle sticker, just remember it might have come from this legendary barn, and if you purchase it, you might have a piece of history. And if you're feeling nostalgic for the days when retro mutagen Ooze wasn't worth more than your car, well, I'm right here with you. That's all for today on the Tale of Mystery and Memorabilia. Let me know in the comments, what is your holy grail toy? And also, did you pick up anything from this find? Maybe you've got a barn story of your own, and hey, if you spot a M.A.S.K glider, save it for me, yeah? Because I'm still not over it and I still need one. Remember, you can find me at Toy Scavenger on all the social media, and you can buy great vintage toys at thetoyscavenger.com. Check out all my other videos, like, comment, subscribe. I've been Paul the Toy Scavenger. I'll see you soon. Maybe. Hopefully.